You're right, Kanal. Maybe we really should have taken a kicker at the fifth overall pick. But hey, welcome to the Misrep Show, everyone. It's your boy
What
Adam and
what's up,
Kanal.
buddy? Well, how you feeling?
I'm good. We were gone for a while, but we were just taking our time thinking about why we took a running back at the number 52 overall pick.
We,
But
we
and
took
now we're
two
here.
running backs.
We did, and I didn't understand it, but that's why had to take my sweet baby time, and now we're here.
Thank you for your patience, everybody. We're very slow readers, and so we decided to take our sweet time as we were processing the 3D chess that John Schneider and Pete Carroll were playing with us. But this is our first look at our draft. We'll look at the draft haul that the Seahawks brought in. Gonna spoiler alert, Adam and I are both hyped as fuck, but that's not that's neither here nor there. We're gonna break this down pick by pick and just give you our thoughts. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I say we just get into it with the number 5 overall pick in the first round. We have the cornerback Devin Witherspoon from Illinois. What you think, buddy?
This was not expected by a lot of people. First and foremost, I'm a big fan of chaos. And this completely threw Detroit's draft board out of the window. They were just like, what do we do? What do we do? So
Because everyone's thinking like, aren't the Seahawks going to get a quarterback? While others were like, no, they definitely need an edge. They're going to put that pick on an edge, and then boom,
They got
peekaboo, cornerback.
they got the biggest dog at at cornerback right now. That's that's that's
Yeah.
that's all you have to say. I mean, yeah, he's a little smaller than your prototypical Seahawks cornerback, but just
Did you
look
see
at
the
look
Did you see the footage on him
just
though?
look at the highlights, man. It's just like Pete Carroll said that the player comparison that he gave him was Troy Polamalu, and that is Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame player that Pete's coached personally. So, when you get that kind of a comparison, your ears perk up a little bit. But when you see those highlights of him just annihilating receivers,
It's that I think it was that one footage of him like right before like he's just covering a receiver that he's just like, you know what? Why cover this receiver when I can run straight at where that I know where the ball's gonna go? And he annihilated that running back.
yeah,
Beautiful.
and it is so I mean, across the board, we've looked at grades don't really mean shit to us anymore because we know how Seahawks' draft picks are always kind of rated, and more often than not, they seem to pull a diamond out of the rough, and everybody's just like, "Oh, where did he come from?" And Seahawks were like, "We knew this whole time." But you know, this was a move that was atypical. That's what Seahawks usually do. I mean, we usually go and get those cornerbacks in the fourth, fifth, sixth round. The later
Hmm.
picks, but they decided there's a dog in the draft, and we need to go out there and get him. And now Seahawks is a no-fly zone.
And we actually have good depth at cornerback, even with the current OTAs that are happening right now. Because I believe Tariq Woolen had surgery recently,
He had
so
like
even still,
arthroscopic surgery on his knee, I think. So that's one
yes.
to keep an eye on, actually.
Yeah, and even with that though, I think we brought back Artie Burns and stuff like that, who's wearing number 3, which is that was weird. Out of
S-
just due respect, you did have like your franchise quarterback previously, who was your best quarterback in the franchise, and it's just like, yeah, number 3, you could just
Yeah,
wear it.
that's fine. It's not retired yet.
Right. But yeah, with Devin Witherspoon, I think we really have that CB2. We basically got a CB1 to put in CB2 position,
Yeah,
right
there's
beside Tariq
CB1A
Woolen.
and CB1B, or CB1, CBA kind of thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
there, there are. I mean, he's gonna slot in immediately, right?
I
And
mean, that's no doubt on that one. Like, we got a hard hitter, we got a dog. I don't know what else to say at this point. I
we
mean,
got a leader. Usually when you guys got that dog, like we haven't had that leader in that secondary. I mean, we've had Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, obviously. So, but at the cornerback position, we haven't had that in a little while.
yeah, since what, Richard Sherman?
Yeah, that's the only one we could think of. But like you said, we have a lot of depth right now, right? Because
Hmm.
we brought back Artie Burns. That's deep in the depth chart. But we also have Kobe Bryant still. We
Hmm.
have Trey Brown, Mike Jackson. We got
They're
guys.
they're definitely. I think like Kobe Bryant and Trey Brown definitely gonna be switching out with that slot, or maybe even when we do like four cornerbacks out there. They'll all be out there. But at the end of the day, I think our corner position solid. We're good now.
No complaints from this pick whatsoever
None.
because
No more switching out the CB2 during the
yeah,
season.
yeah, that's the other thing. And across the board we got an A. But next pick up, this was a very atypical pick from Seahawks as well. With the 20th overall pick, Seahawks selected Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. from
From
Ohio State.
Ohio State, man. First of all, that's the highest I believe we picked a receiver in the
Uh,
last 10 years or so, if
yeah.
I remember
I think
correctly.
Golden Tate was probably the last one, to be honest,
Yeah,
but
that was a while ago.
yeah,
um, but yeah, JSN, the man himself, the first wide receiver to go off the board, because right after him, all the wide receivers
everybody
started.
went. Yeah.
Oh, wait, they wide receiver. Let me get that
I
one. Let me get
love
that one.
I love the chaos.
But I mean, some people wanted like Zay Flowers as our third wide receiver, but at the end of the day, I think either Zay Flowers or JSN, you can't really go wrong. So of course we took JSN, and we've always been looking for that third receiver to complement, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and especially with Tyler Lockett getting older and stuff like that, right? And he's been like injuries started like popping up more and more. He'll easily slot in at wide receiver two when that time comes, whenever that is. And then, of course, we'll go look for another wide receiver. But yeah, that's my
Yeah,
thoughts on it.
and so you were planning a few years in advance, and so Tyler Lockett isn't going to be around forever. Maybe you never know. One day someone might choose to walk away from the game, and so planning for that down the line. This is Zay Flowers is a lot more of your prototypical like slot wide receiver. He has that burn pace and that kind of thing. But I think
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Smith and Jigba can also develop a lot of the things that Tyler Lockett has in terms of those when Tyler Lockett first came into the league, the a lot of pundits were touting like some of these pro savvy type of moves that he would do, like when he's hand fighting a cornerback, and how did he get separation and stuff like that. And Tyler Lockett came in, he was kind of like he was more of a gadget player, and he developed into this wide receiver that you can put on the outside. And Jackson Smith and Jigba 2-3 years down the line probably can follow that same path. And we have continuity at the wide receiver position.
And at this point, like I'm very excited to see what that offense looks like. Gino, I think if we didn't say it before, Gino definitely also feel like won this draft as well. He has more weapons on his side, definitely a lot more weapons, especially as we get further along these picks. But he's definitely not going to write anyone back at this point. I don't know.
All right, but next up we have this one was a little bit more not controversial, I would say, but the opinions varied. With the 37th pick and the overall pick in the draft, Seahawks
hmm
selected Derek Hall, edge from
Edge.
Auburn.
I think we got a solid edge here. I've watched some of his footage as well. I feel like he's like, a great overall, like solid piece. And even when I was watching like other analysts' videos on like the top edges and stuff like that, I know we passed up some edge talent getting to this pick, but I'm just excited to see that, finally we're addressing edge finally. Cause I was waiting for it in those first two first round picks, but I have no. I just want to see him get on the field and play and see what happens. Basically, at this point.
The key word for me, at least with Derek Hall, a lot of people regard him as like a one trick pony because he has an insane ability to generate, or to his first step is insane, and he has an insane ability to convert that speed into like power and just bulldoze people. And that's effective in college, but you're kind of a one trick pony in the NFL, right? Once there's tape on you, D line can figure out how to redirect you and just kind of take you out of the play type of thing. I think with how raw he is, I think the Seahawks are going to try to coach him up on this one, and
Mhm.
try to develop into a more complete edge. But they're really building out this whole um, defensive line room, and we'll see that he's gonna slot in with your Uchenna Nwosu, your Darrell Taylor, your boy Amafe,
Mhm.
and we brought in Brandon Jordan, that pass rush specialist coach that worked with Von Miller, T.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, and those guys. And if he can do his magic with two of our three young players, then we we got a problem, for a lot of other
Yeah.
teams.
And just remember, like for everyone out there, even like with Jalen Carter and I think it was Will Anderson Jr. and stuff like that. There was when you actually kind of watch even the tape more on like some of these other defensive linemen, defensive edges. Some of them even only know how to maybe do more pass rush rather than run stop and stuff like that. I don't think there's an edge that's like the edge that rules them all in this draft. It's more of just you take what you get and then coach as you can, as well as just be patient on the edge position because not every edge I think most edges when they come into the NFL in general need time to gel, and I think we've seen that with certain. I don't. I mean, I don't. I'm kind of forgetting the name of them. I don't think it was Dalvin Tomlinson who was one of them, but I know there was like some edges out there and D tackles that it kind of took like a season or two to kind of basically get in the groove and then be an All Pro and eventually even move into the Hall of Fame, kind of like future Hall of Famer and stuff like that. So yeah, let's just be patient with Derek Hall, and at the very least, he'll be in rotation, if not out there on the field at all points in time.
Yeah, and I think with building up this room again, just having like the ability to just throw a guy out there that's basically fresh, in the fourth quarter, that's the
Oh
kind
yeah,
of that's the kind of I think dynamic the Seahawks are looking for. But this next pickup with 52 52nd overall pick, this one is a little bit more controversial, I guess you can say. It took a little while for us to see why the Seahawks did what they did, but they took Zach Charbonnet, running back from UCLA.
yeah. With this pick, at first I was like, why? Right?
Yeah.
I said, why did we get a running back around the same time we got K9 before? But then, like, I remember going to a wedding. I remember just talking to some other people and stuff like that, and they were just like, "I'm so tight that your Seahawks got Zach Charbonnet. You already have K9. Now you have like another great running back right behind him." And basically, like with that, one thing that people need to take into consideration, like all Seahawks fans, is you might be tight at this pick, but if you think about it, the history of our running backs on this team, it's not the brightest thing ever.
No, we have an insane knack for just running players into the ground. But with this pick, our running back room right now, at least at the time of the draft, I don't know if DJ Dallas. I think DJ Dallas had to sign an extension, or maybe he
Hmm.
just had 1 year left on his deal. But our running back room essentially just looked like K9, and that is not
And
productive
DJ
for.
Dallas, but it's like, we saw DJ Dallas towards the end of the season, and it's like, okay, he can get in and at least have a good change of pace, but he's not like our good, like, 1-2 punch, if you will.
Yeah, and so, we with coming out a little bit later with these videos, we have the benefit of seeing some of these guys at like OTAs and stuff like that. Zach Charbonnet has already kind of won over every single coach in that Seahawks coaching staff. It's not even like it's not even a doubt. They see that guy come to work and he is just bulldozing over people. They kind of the dynamic with our running back room right now just seems to be like a thunder and lightning. Like Zach Charbonnet has an insane ability to. He's explosive. He's got explosiveness to him, but he has an insane ability to run after contact, and pair that with K9's insane speed
And
and
agility.
home run and agility. That you got a 1-2 punch that will keep defenses guessing. I think that's the most important thing, is that our defense doesn't get too stale, right? Or our offense doesn't get too stale, right?
Yeah, and then even picture like, K9, in the event, like knock on wood, K9 goes down or something like that, you still have a great running back up to go and take like most of the, you know, first, second, and even third down plays, depending on like, the situation and stuff like that. But even if K9 doesn't go down, let's just say K9 just like, I'm gassed. We're just running so much on these guys, like just throw Zach in.
Yeah.
Continue the process. And you don't have to be like, oh, we have to change up the offense because that's our one running back that can run him down. But like Zach Charbonnet, the man's built like a
Yeah.
tank, and I know he's going to be trucking people.
He
Cannot
is
wait to see him.
already they say he's already a pro style running back, day one. And so take that that this is the Seahawks saying that he's a pro style running back, and the Seahawks pro style running back is kind of like, no, their like wet dream is Derrick Henry. So put I'm not saying he's Derrick Henry, but put it in that mold. Like you got a grown man already coming into your room.
Yep. Yeah. And before we move on to the next pick, I do want to at least say, with because this was the 52 pick, but the pick before,
Oh, right, right.
with Derek Hall, and then of course the number 5 overall pick, those were like the last. Basically, we're bringing it full circle with the Russell Wilson trade. So that basically just Devin Witherspoon and Derek Hall was acquired through the Russell Wilson trade, which I mean, I think we got all the value and some out of that trade. I don't know about the Broncos, but I can speak at least for the Seahawks in that one.
Do you have that graphic open still? Can you like let's just rattle off like what we gave up, because
Yeah.
we gave him a pick too,
Yeah, we gave
and
them Russell Wilson and they picked up Ioma Uwazurki. I think that I know I probably butchered his name a bit, but that's a,
Uwazurike.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not
Uwazurike, something like
sure
that.
what position he played, but that's all they got was Russell Wilson and him. We got Devin Witherspoon, Derek Hall, Charles Cross, Noah Fant, Boy Mafe, Drew Lock, Tariq Smith, Derek Young, and Shelby Harris. And of course, Shelby Harris is no longer with the Seahawks.
So one player built out an entire team. This sounds like because
Basically.
you got day one starters like Charles Cross. Noah Fant obviously was a day one starter. Boye Mafe was a good depth pick for at the time
Hmm.
being. Shelby Harris kind of was a day one starter. Devin Witherspoon is going to be a day one starter. You know, at, if you're looking at it in terms of player value, yeah, quarterback is the most valuable position, but we filled out our fucking depth chart to the max
And then
with that
Geno
trade.
Smith went off and he never wrote back. So I mean, at that
Yeah,
point, that
he
definitely
never wrote
made this
back.
trade all the more better, right?
Oh, of course. I think the fact that we were able to continue
You went to the
offensively,
playoffs, bro.
we went to the playoff. Didn't yeah, we didn't win a playoff game though, did we? We
No,
we, we lost to the
no,
Niners, but
we got in. We just
it
went out
was
the first with we went out
we
in the
were we
first
were
game.
banged up when we got there. It was like one of those things. But the fact that we were able to kind of produce offensively without Russell Wilson says leaps and bounds about how the fans feel about this trade because the guy's gone and we didn't fall off a cliff on offense. I think I'll take that any day of the week.
And I think we even made someone from what the Colin Cowherd show, like that one host, he had to cut the
Yeah.
Seahawks into his head because they went to the playoffs. Oh, love it. But anywho, we can at least move on. We didn't have a round three pick, right? So we had our 2 second round picks, 2 first round picks. Now we're on to the fourth round with a number 108 overall pick, guard Anthony Bradford from LSU. What you think about that one, bud?
Yeah, I think it's he's shown to have like um he has good speed for an offensive lineman. He's good in pass. He needs a little work in pass blocking sets. Um, I think it's a work in progress. I don't have any complaints about this one. If anything, it's competition for Phil Haynes or maybe Evan Brown if he gets pushed out to guard from
Hmm.
Oluwatimi. We'll get to him, but
Hmm.
he has the ability. I think from what I've read, he's good in the run, and we don't have an ability to run in between in between the linemen. Last year and bringing in an adult like Zach Charbonnet, you're gonna want to exploit that ability, to run in
Hmm.
between the offensive linemen. And so it's a work in progress. I don't expect him to be a day one starter, but he could be there one day. What do you think?
I'm actually glad that we actually got more offensive linemen after
Yeah.
Charles Cross. That's one part. Two, from what I can see, that he was like a solid like run blocking machine, and like you said, he needs to improve on the pass blocking. But like even if he doesn't start, he can at least improve and stuff like that. And that's one thing we have shown with the Seahawks organization is that we like to take in a lot of players, even if they're undrafted, and develop them into all pros. So hopefully he can come out, at whenever he's ready, and he can help. But like basically, we can start having a young line again, and have a solid old. First of all, hopefully. He can actually contribute when we go and face the Niners because that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think, it's important. I think after we've discussed this a little bit, we can say that there's a distinction or it should be noted, when we make a pick, if we expect that player to be someone we develop or someone we expect to be a day one starter, right?
Hmm.
Guys that we drafted, it could be a day one starter for need, or the player is just that talented. We didn't have to draft Devin Witherspoon. We were serviceable with Tariq Woolen on one side and, whoever on the other, we had a
Hmm.
rotation. But with the amount of talent that Devin Witherspoon has, he's a day one starter. That's the kind of mold he's cast into. Anthony Bradford, he doesn't have to be a day one starter. And I think for certain players that takes a lot of pressure off of them. If you're not ready for that pro mindset, it's a mental game as much as a physical game. And so he has the time and ability to, develop while Phil Haynes or maybe Evan Brown starts.
Hmm.
And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But it's no one's forcing him and putting extra pressure on these athletes that already get pressure for so many sides. No pun intended. He's offensive lineman.
This is true. But yeah, I think I'm just glad we actually at least got depth on the O line because we need it as well. Next pick though, another round four pick, we took defensive tackle Cameron Young from Mississippi State. Personally, saw that he was a solid either nose tackle or even like a three tech as well. Um, I'm just glad that we still went and said, you know what, we that's not enough for the D line. Let's go get some more talent.
Yeah, I think the biggest I mean, Cameron Young, you get in this point in the draft, you're just trying to draft on potential. And so, he has the ability to be disruptive in the run game. And obviously that was the most soul crushing part about our defense last year is how porous we were in that front seven. But I think I
Yeah.
think out of this, the biggest winner for me is probably Jermont Jones. And
Hmm.
so, instead of forcing him to be like Jermont Jones to be a that's his name, right? Did I
Hmm.
did I butcher his
Draymond,
name?
Draymond Jones, you got it.
Yeah, Draymond Jones. Sorry, I don't know why I said Dramont. It's a slight pronunciation. That's why it didn't sound right to me. But anyway, instead of forcing him to be a nose tackle, and when you're a nose tackle, you're just kind of swallowing up offensive linemen. You can put Draymond Jones on the at like the three tech, and just let him go to work wreaking havoc. And it's a team sport. Having players that can do different roles is important and excel in the roles that they're good at.
And just remember that we like to keep fresh bodies too on the D line. You know how the D line can get gassed very easily. So, if anything, even if he's a rotational player, it's going to be pretty solid for us.
For sure. But the next pickup, I think you said you like this one, right? With the 151st pick, I think it was.
Yeah.
Mike, the pick numbering might be a little screwed up just because of Dolphins deciding to tank and cheat and all that garbage. But
Yeah.
We took Mike Morris, defensive lineman from Michigan. What do you think,
Yeah, he
man?
plays the defensive end position. And, one thing about our 3-4 is that, yeah, you need your edges, but then you still also need your nose tackle slash D tackle, as well as your ends. And he's going to definitely be another, basically kind of like similar to Cameron Young, solid like rotational piece. I potentially could start, but that just depends on what happens with OTAs and as we get closer and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we are at a point in this draft where it's like keep getting defensive linemen. We're gonna need it.
Yeah, and we're all for it. I feel I mean, the more and more the more players we select and the more we think about it, we are filling out this team to, every nook and cranny that we need to fill. And it's just
Oh yeah.
more and more exciting as a fan, right?
Oh, of course. And the fact that we need a lot of juice on both offensive line and defensive line, I'm just so glad that we didn't just keep going like, oh, let's go get another receiver or let's get another,
Running
another
back,
uh,
the Seahawks pick.
please. Oh my gosh. Like if we kept getting running backs in this one, I would have been like, okay, I get it,
I get it. I get
okay.
it.
But yeah, at the end of the day, we do need some more folks that can play that three tech or the four eye tech. Basically, kind of like get into that. Now you're kind of start like shadowing the guard or in between the guard and tackle. We definitely need that, and hopefully can definitely contribute to like the run game. So stopping the run game because yeah, that was the one thing that got us in the last season. Like a lot of losses was because the teams were just like, what if we just run?
Yeah, and
So
like
here we are.
Carolina, like Raiders. But just one last thought on that. I
Mhm.
touched on this a little earlier, but the idea is that we're building out a D line room and linebacker room if you include edges and linebackers, or the front seven room where we have players with different qualities. Everybody brings something different to the table, and as a defensive coach, that's pretty much like Thanksgiving dinner for you. The ability to pick and choose and, not be pigeonholed into one type of scheme because you only have one type of player in your locker room. You have the ability to throw a little bit of a razzle dazzle at people, and it'll get teams thinking. So that'll be something to look forward to.
Yeah, but I think this next pick for you is this is what you were excited about too. So
I'm hyped on
because
this one.
yeah, so again, this is the second of the round five picks with three picks later at 154 overall. We have the center Oluwatimi from Michigan. What do you think about that one, bud?
Hyped. Future starter for the Seahawks, man. Like, honestly, like he wasn't up there as one of the most pro ready centers. You got your John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt from Minnesota and
Hmm.
other guys like that. But across the board, he was clearing out awards left, right, and center for the center position as offensive lineman of the year and such like that in the Big Ten, and he has the
Yeah, so he
potential
got
to be a day one
The
starter.
Remington Trophy. Yeah, he got the Remington Trophy and the Outland Trophy, which is basically the Remington is basically the nation's top center, and then the Outland
Mm.
Trophy, which is the top offensive lineman. Like, so I mean, I love the accolades. I hope it just
Yeah,
are we
they
breaking
don't
the
just come out of
curse on
nowhere.
our centers? And are we breaking our
Yeah,
curse with centers in the Seahawks?
it had to be a fifth round pick too. But the
Right,
thing
because you got to
is
get that
that
solid gem pick.
oh yeah, and he's terrific in the run game. He's terrific in the pass game. And he doesn't need, like we were saying, he doesn't need to be a day one starter. It would be great, that we're creating a competition at the center position between him and Evan Brown. But he has if he can get up to speed with sussing out NFL defenses,
Hmm.
he has the potential to start for us day one, and that's exciting. For we didn't have to. We were both talking about drafting a center maybe in like the second or third round, and here we are getting maybe the possibly the best one at the fifth round, at least in terms of value.
This is true. I think the only other thing was like I think in our history, like the past 8 or 9 years since we traded our last great center to the Saints. Everyone knows
I
who
blame
that one
Russ.
is. Right,
I
blame
blame Russ.
ourselves. Um, we've always had a new starter at center every year, literally,
Yeah,
except for I thought there might have been one season, but no, everybody, even like Austin Blythe, I think he retired after the last season, if I'm correct, if I remember correctly. Some center that was starting for us definitely retired, so that's why we went and get Evan Brown and stuff like that. But finally, can we finally have just like a stout offensive lineman right there in the center that can call off defenses and stuff like that? I hope so.
and our entire offensive line is essentially homegrown.
Oh
These are
yeah.
all guys we drafted, especially with Abraham Lucas and Charles Cross, but you also have
Hmm.
Phil Haynes, Damian Lewis. If Evan Brown starts, he's obviously not a homegrown player, but we built this from the ground up. And that's I think that's just the fun part about it is that it's ours. It's our identity.
Yep, and then we got a new wide receiver to throw to and everything like that. But I think this next pick is who I was very excited about.
Oh
So
yeah,
now,
here, let me intro him in, and I'll let you go to
bring him in,
town.
bring him in,
We got with the 198th overall selection, Jarek Reed from a safety from New Mexico.
man. First of all, recent OTAs that have been coming out, they've already said he is a dog. Literally, that was actually a quote like he's a dog.
For context, we should mention he wasn't even rated by like PFF or um I think like Draft Network and those guys that do those pre-draft grades and stuff like that. He was knocked on his maybe his tackling and the fact that he played at New Mexico, so maybe he didn't play the best teams or maybe he didn't show up for the big games and that kind of thing. But I think just like Zach Charbonnet on the offense, Jarek Reed
Mhm.
is kind of the talk of the town on defense, isn't he?
And I think we got a gem pick in the sixth round right there. And he actually might even get in with Jamal Adams still being out after his injury from last season. So, especially when we actually bring out the three safety look, I do expect to see him out on the field. And I can't wait. Can't wait to see it.
He's a Seahawk through and through in terms of attitude. He's a guy that'll run through a brick wall for you. And with
Day
that,
one, I'll run through that brick wall, maybe two.
yeah. But I think with it's good that he's already in a crowded safety room. He doesn't have to be a day one starter, but if he has that dog in him, he'll the cream rises to the top, right?
Yeah, of course, man. So you want to bring out this final pick, like the most surprising pick of all?
Last pick, surprise, surprise. Seahawks select a running back with the 237th overall pick, Kenny McIntosh from Georgia. It's
Yeah.
one of those picks, right? They're just this at this point in the draft, you're just like looking for guys to like fill out your locker room. But we know that we need running backs, and so we got the two to the 1-2 punch from Georgia. Jameer Gibbs was
Yeah.
the first, and we got the Lightning.
Yeah, we took another lightning. So it's really just he rushed for about I think like 800, almost 830 yards, had 10 touchdowns last season. So it's not like He was just just playing around as a backup. He even had over 500 yards and two scores, with or catching two touchdowns as well with the team. As so, I mean, and for back-to-back national championships, you can't go wrong, especially in the seventh round, getting more value in the running back room because, again, like we said, um, Seahawks and running backs every single year. There's almost every single year, not last year. Oh, thank God. But almost every single
Last year
year.
too,
There's
man.
oh no, it was. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, it
Rashad
was.
Penny, Chris Carson before the season even started. K9 was injured. Remember we were throwing out guys that were didn't even have like their contacts in to play running back.
Oh my gosh, I remember. Oh,
I
why do you
can't
have to
remember his
remind
name.
me? Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, that was a thing that happened. I see. I was trying to forget, but now here we
Yeah,
are. At the
with
very
it.
least, you could say that like McIntosh can at least be our pass catcher. It depends on if he can beat out that position with DJ Dallas. I think with like the running back room, it's now uh, K9, Zach Charbonnet, DJ Dallas, and then I would even say Kenny will be that fourth running back right now. And I think they brought like another veteran in, so it's just a matter of like who's gonna fight for that fourth spot. So hopefully Kenny can like make it because those last two, the third and the fourth running back on the depth chart, usually are going to contribute to special teams heavily with the Seahawks.
Yeah, and so with Kenny McIntosh, he was kind of regarded as probably the best. Like he doesn't have the same speed as K9 or even Zach Charbonnet for that matter. But he's kind of regarded as the best pass catching
Hmm.
running back coming out of this draft. I mean, he finished, I think, looks like second in yards and third in reception amongst running backs. And so, he's got that reputation at least of being able to catch balls out of the flats and that kind of thing. And so that's just more versatility for our offense. Um, it could carve out a niche for him. Obviously, a lot of these guys that we've talked about, they're going to start off on special teams for the Seahawks because that's just how we bring players through. But he's gonna have the opportunity of being in that rotation with running backs. It might be something that we start trying to do more rotations, right?
Hmm.
So he'll
Hmm.
get his touches.
For sure. And he even said like when he was getting picked up, we are pro style offense. So you can like, hey, offensive coordinator, put me wherever you want. He even said like you can even line me up outside as well. If you want to put me out there at receiver, let's go because that's what I was doing at Georgia.
Yeah, I mean,
So
if you look at every good running back in this league has a good second option, right? Like, Dalvin Cook at Alexander Mattison and so on, like that kind of thing, right? And then, or the other example I was thinking of was AJ Dillon and what's his
oh, I
name?
know for
Aaron
the Green
Jones.
Bay, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, that's a good 1-2 punch right there as well. A lot of these teams have that. What's wrong with having a whole room full of guys that can just come in and you know run the rock, right?
Basically, and I mean, if we actually took a really good pass catching running back, I personally feel like with what we did with Dallas, DJ Dallas, and then Travis Homer before before he went off to another team, we were kind of like going between the two on who's the best pass catcher, and I think with Kenny McIntosh, I think we're going to be solid in that position now.
Yeah, and it gives us options if DJ Dallas moves on too, because he's been with the team for a few years. So that concludes all the picks that the Seahawks took in the draft. We'll look at all the undrafted players or the players that we like in future videos because there's so many of them. But Adam, I'm just going to rapid fire through some questions and
Yeah.
we'll just take this thing home. So, first off, how do you feel about this draft? Hyped or not hyped?
Ooh, hype, just hype. Full hype. I think even with the draft that we had last year, just back to back hype. Now I want to actually just see them play and then they all contribute in some form or fashion. At the very least, we have a really good core of players to build around.
Who was your favorite player that came out of the draft? It could be for quality. I mean, I don't blame you if you take, say, Devin Witherspoon, or if you try to go for a value pick or like Gem. Like, who's the most excited for? I should say.
I would say I'm most excited to see because like I want to say almost everybody, but
Yeah.
uh but I think I want to see what JSN will do for the team because we've always been looking and I mean I could easily say Jarek Reed. I definitely was excited about him. I'm excited about even Kenny McIntosh who we just talked about, but I think JSN is going to be like the key part because like we can keep adding all these pieces on defense. We've
Mm.
always looked for this third receiver, and I want to see what JSN can do for us. So I'm very excited for him.
I want to see how it can open up our playbook because don't forget, we still have three tight ends as well. We can do three tight end sets. We can do three receiver sets. We can do three running back sets if we wanted to. Like we have the power. I mean, for me, I'm the most excited about is, yeah, I mean, it's cliche because he's our first pick, but Devin Witherspoon, man, those highlights.
You
Like,
love dogs. I mean, I
I
don't
love
think if
dogs.
for everyone that just doesn't know Kanal, he loves dogs
I
so
love
much.
dogs. People, humans, canines. I love them all.
Dog.
Dog. The only dog I'm kind of sad we couldn't keep was Ryan Neal, but I'm happy he's going off and getting the opportunity to
It's
make a
kind of
name for
where
himself.
Jarek Reed comes in, you know.
Yeah, he could be that other guy. He could be that missile. That's what we really like on our
And Ryan Neal
defenses.
definitely needs to be a starter, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think him going to another team gives him that chance, at least to make some form of money.
Yeah. Okay, next up, biggest position group you think was that improved after this draft?
Ooh, I'm just gonna go and say I think hmm, I'm gonna
This is
say
a tough one,
corner.
right?
Corner,
I was
because
gonna damn it. I was gonna say
at least
that.
we're all the hey, great minds think alike, man, because you can talk about the running back position to an extent. I think that's like the runner up for
Dude,
me is the running back position.
step is taking a step back. We every single what what unit in our team, offense or defense, did not improve from this draft. I guess we didn't draft another kicker, but that's neither that's not what we need or a
We
you know
almost had the best kicker, man, but they didn't take him.
yeah, but every single unit that we needed to improve, I mean, even wide receiver, we improved wide receiver, running back, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, because if you include edges in there, you can say linebackers, secondary. What is left? We improved
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, because I think the actual inside linebackers we improved in the offseason because we got, B-Wags back all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
that
And
okay. That's a good point.
yeah, because
Yeah,
he's back because, we still got some injuries happening over there. And, but yeah, I think that for me, the biggest thing is corner because now and we got depth. Like, first of all, we have depth
or you could just say
and we have
secondary as a
size.
whole.
Secondary as a whole, yeah. But if I had to be specific to a position, I'm going to say corner for
Corner.
sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
blame
man.
you on that one, man.
What about
That's
you?
no corner is what I along the lines of what I was thinking as well, or just you say corner, I'll just say secondary as a whole because it seems like
Okay.
Jarek Reed is already kind of winning over the coaches. Um, that and I guess you brought up a good point. Maybe the one area we didn't improve was interior linebacker, but you can only have so many picks in the draft. And I think we kind of took care of a lot of the needs or try to address a lot of the needs that we needed at least. Um,
We had
last
10
question,
picks. We had 10 picks though,
10
so
picks.
we
10 picks is half a team.
yeah,
Put it in that
yeah,
perspective.
yeah.
And so with that, who do you think is the last question for you?
Mhm.
Biggest winner from this draft? It could be anyone, coaching staff, players,
Ooh,
units. Who's the biggest winner?
I think the biggest winner is Gino because he got him well one, he has a defense that can keep the other team off the field. Hopefully we're saying hopefully for now until we see what see it everything on the field. I think Gino is a big winner here because again, we went and got some more offensive linemen and we gave him a new receiver to throw to.
I was gonna say Gino as well, and I was gonna
Dang,
add.
we're good. I'm good, man.
I've decided to expand it a little bit though.
Go ahead.
I'm
Go
going
ahead.
to say, well, first off, Gino, you had faith in the team. You took a friendly deal, and we were able to build around you. And that obviously this is through draft, and so you can't say that it's not like we went out and got free agent signings and that kind of thing. But inadvertently, we got some defensive players, or indirectly, I should say, we got some defensive players that can help keep you on the field and that kind of thing. But I'm gonna go out there and say I think Shane Waldron might be one of the biggest winners in this draft. You have so much versatility in that offense now with your three, like I was saying before, three tight ends, three solid wide receivers. You have four running backs, that can all do different things. You have a quarterback that ain't riding back. You have an offensive line that can keep him standing. You are starting to you really this is a coordinator's dream right now. Obviously,
Yeah.
you can always improve the talent. There's always areas to improve, but having a strong depth chart, deep depth chart is what every coordinator wants. And it'll be exciting to see. We how much I loved our three tight end sets, but even I would be willing to forego that for 3 wide receiver sets just to see what Jackson
Finally.
Smith and Jigba can do.
Yeah, because like every time we ran the three wide receiver sets, which is why we started like inputting more of the tight ends in, because we didn't really have that solid third receiver to throw to. I think we've had like the because who were we throwing it to in this last season? The veteran that came in with Geno Smith.
Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah, because he was like a
Yeah,
solid like third receiver
yeah.
for Geno, and he was actually like catching up
Solid like
like
that booty.
very. I remember the very first game. He said he said I ain't
I
right
didn't
back
write
though.
back though. I just remember seeing like a TikTok about it, and the guy that made it just zoomed in on the hand on the ass, and
Boom.
I was just
I
like,
remember that.
bang. Anyway,
If you could put a clip just of that just for this video, please do. You got to.
I'll see if I can find it and get it in there.
Yeah, but most definitely I want to see these three wide receiver sets now.
Yeah, I just
Very
want to see the.
excited.
You can also make an argument that Clint Hurt is also benefiting a lot just because
Oh,
all the
that was my
talent that
runner
he's
up
got.
was the defense as a whole. Finally, we do not have to always worry about, well, I'm saying this right now, but we don't have to always worry about our defense just like, because even throughout the last season, it's like all of a sudden everyone started running on us. I'm like, oh my gosh, now it's not passing. Passing is like we took care of that. It was the run game. And
It's
that's where we
almost
just suffered.
it's almost like one of those things where like you kind of wish the secondary wasn't so good because it just exposed how bad the running back room or the run defense was. But yeah, it's also a good thing because when our defense started just kind of locking it down, everybody started running, and then we're like, oh, now we know what we need to address.
And Pete Carroll said we just need to be more dynamic up front and we need to get some mean guys on there. And we did.
We need to get some bullies.
Big bullies so they can't run on us, like Josh Jacobs did, repeating
We,
like the Raiders.
yeah,
But anywho,
80-yard touchdown to win it. Nobody wants to talk about that. But
of course.
with that, we have a very optimistic. We are all very optimistic going into this off season, into training camp and a mini camp. Thank you for joining us here at Missed Reps. Be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, comment below, and we hope to catch you again next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.